The trees are not just stunning beauty. All types of animals depend on this forest for food, water, shelter, and a place to raise their young.
Destruction of tree canopy and flooding concerns prompted residents to speak out at Tuesday's St. Augustine Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Liz Ryan has more on our lead story.
For the fifth time, the proposed eco-village development, slated to be built in the Ravenswood neighborhood on the San Sebastian River, went before the Planning and Zoning Board. Elizabeth Smith of the Fish Island Community Alliance expressed her concerns with the way the application has been submitted and resubmitted.
Illegible documents, short-term rentals, lack of clarity regarding three-story buildings, height and viewscape, cursory and incomplete plant and animal study.
Earlier this year, the board voted on a continuance of the request, citing lack of information. Since then, the height of the proposed buildings increased from 2 stories to 3. This resident wasn't satisfied with the latest round of information.
The new plans are even more vague. More questions and information was requested in July, mostly concerning the new 3-story buildings and more information on the tree placement.
They sought the permission to remove 11 significant trees to build this development, and the remaining trees that could be saved would have to be trimmed to accommodate the 3-story buildings. The arborist was asked if these trees could survive drastic trimmings.
Through proper procedures, yes.
But when asked if they knew if the trees were tall enough for their canopy to clear the 3-story buildings,
We do not at this time. We'll have to do an assessment in the field.
Jay Brown addressed neighbors' flooding concerns.
We don't discount the fact that flooding occurs on Florida Avenue. Our project, fortunately, is draining away from Florida avenues.
As far as wildlife habitat, applicant Ryan Carter assured the board that there are no endangered species living on that property.
I've been at the site countless times. I haven't seen any eagles or gopher tortoises.
The board approved the application 5-1, with Matthew Schaefer being the lone no vote. For St. Augustine's Local Morning News, I'm Liz Ryan.
This local news is a service of your hometown Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota US 1 St. Augustine, here to wow you. St. John's is moving forward with an important drainage project.
St. Johns County Public Works Department will close South Holmes Boulevard north of the Florida East Coast Railroad crossing very soon. Wayne Larson, Public Affairs Director for St. Johns County.
We are completing the drainage improvements in the Collier Heights and Clark subdivisions beginning September 8th and continuing through the 11th. South Holmes Boulevard, just north of the Florida East Coast Railroad crossing, will be closed.
The $2.4 million project will include the construction of 2 48-inch cross-drain culverts under South Holmes Boulevard that will really improve drainage flows in the area, especially during storm events, according to Larson. And the project is funded by a community development block grant with an estimated finish date of September 15th. For St. Augustine's Local Morning News, I'm Karen Johnson.
This weekend, 2 special birthdays will be celebrated in St. Augustine.
The birth of the establishment of the city of St. Augustine. It is also the establishment of the Catholic faith on these shores.
Kathleen Bagg, Director of Communications for the Diocese of St. Augustine, says the 458th Founders Day celebration is happening Saturday at 10 a.m. at the National Shrine on the Mission Nombre de Dios grounds on San Marco Avenue. She says a historical reenactment will be led by the historic Florida militia Men of Menendez.
They've been doing this for many years, and they take great pride in the accuracy that they show in their reenactment. It's wonderful to look at full costumes. We actually get to see Don Pedro Menendez coming to shore with his men. We know that 4 diocesan priests also came to shore. It was Father Lopez who was the one that celebrated the very first Mass of Thanksgiving in what is kind of the area of the rustic cross at the mission.
After the reenactment, Mass will be held by Bishop Eric Pohlmeyer, followed by a proclamation reading by St. Augustine Mayor Nancy Sykes-Klein. Festivities continue into the afternoon at the Fountain of Youth Archaeological Park next door. With St. Augustine's Local Morning News, I'm Amy Sherry.
And now you're up to date with St. Augustine's Local Morning News. I'm Rich Carroll.